The Daily Bible in chronological order. New International Version Bible. Lament over Jerusalem. Matthew chapter 23 verses 37 through 39. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you who kill the prophets and stone those sent to you. How often I have longed to gather your children together as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings. But you were not willing. Look, your house is left to you desolate. For I tell you, you will not see me again until you say, Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Widow, an example. Mark chapter 12 verses 41 through 44 and Luke chapter 21 verses 1 through 4. Jesus sat down opposite the place where the offerings were put in and watched the crowd putting their money into the temple treasury. Many rich people threw in large amounts, but a poor widow came and put in 2 very small copper coins, worth only a fraction of a penny. Calling his disciples to him, Jesus said, I tell you the truth. This poor widow has put more into the treasury than all the others. They all gave out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in everything, all she had to live on. Discourse of future events. At the end of this indicting expose, Jesus and his disciples make their way out of the temple. When one of the disciples comments on the beauty of the temple and its stones, Jesus makes the cryptic observation that there will come a time when the temple will be destroyed. Jesus and his disciples then go to the Mount of Olives, just outside the city. Peter, Andrew, James, and John come to Jesus privately, wanting to know more about the temple's destruction, the signs of his coming, and the end of the age. From their Jewish apocalyptic perspective, they apparently anticipate that the end of the age will coincide with Jesus' imminent political ascendancy. Even now, they misunderstand the nature of his kingdom. Like many of the ancient prophecies, Jesus' answers has been the source of much discussion. There is general agreement regarding Jesus' reference to the destruction of the temple. In retrospect, it is known that only 40 years later, in AD 70, the Roman legions laid siege to Jerusalem, thoroughly sacking it and completely destroying the temple. Most would agree that Jesus describes events which precede that destruction. Some feel that Jesus' entire discourse is made with reference to Jerusalem's destruction by the Romans, while others see in it additional apocalyptic prophecy concerning future events. Still, others view it as one prophecy having a dual significance. In order to underscore the need for watchfulness, faithfulness, and spiritual readiness, Jesus will conclude his prophecies by telling 2 parables and describing the final judgment. Temple to be destroyed. As he was leaving the temple, one of his disciples said to him, Look, teacher, what massive stones, what magnificent buildings. Do you see all these great buildings? Replied Jesus. Not one stone here will be left on another. Every one will be thrown down. And that is Matthew chapter 24 verses 1 through 2, Mark chapter 13 verses 1 and 2, Luke chapter 21 verses 5 and 6, as they were leaving the temple on Tuesday. Disciples asked questions. Jesus was sitting on the Mount of Olives opposite the temple. Peter, James, John, and Andrew asked him privately, Tell us, they said, when will this happen? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age? And that is Matthew chapter 24 verse 3, Mark chapter 13 verses 3 and 4, Luke chapter 21 verse 7. And that's on the Mount of Olives on Tuesday.